Good afternoon, folks. This is Deb Delapiana, and I'm talking to you at an odd hour for a weekday. This should be my first day back at work after the weekend, but I am down for the count until at least Saturday with, once again, COVID-19. Now, I know there's going to be some flaming assholes out there who are going to say, see, you got your vaccine and you got it anyway. Yes, you are right, I did. Because I work in a fucking store where we have people coming in with Proud Boy shirts and Let's Go Brandon shirts and no masks, and none of them are vaccinated. And they're still in there coughing and wheezing and acting like a pack of assholes every single day. And by the way, the first time I had it was February 2021, before there was a vaccine. It took me 10 weeks to get better. I was really quite sick. I have been vaccinated and I have had 2 boosters, and right now today I feel like I have allergies. The only telltale symptom, the one that tipped me off, was the same thing that tipped me off in February of 2021. My eyes feel like I have conjunctivitis, and that is one of the same symptoms I had then. That's what made me test myself. So my store requires that if you're testing positive, you stay out until you're not positive. And that is what I will do, because I don't believe I have the right to spread this. Okay? So shut the fuck up. We're going to talk about a few things today. We're going to talk about a few things today that make me really want to, A, get my child out of this country, and B, try to reach you people and make you understand why the GOP absolutely cannot be returned to power. First of all, I want to stop and take just 5 minutes to tell Bill Maher to shut the fuck up. This is actually a chain reaction report with a shut the fuck up built in, okay? The genius that is Bill Maher, and you know, I never really liked him as a comedian, and I like him less as a pundit. That Ron DeSantis will make a better president than Donald Trump because he's not totally crazy. I believe he used the words totally fucking crazy. Well, you know, that could be true. Although I think the jury is still out on that. But Ron DeSantis is building an authoritarian state in Florida, right along the lines of what Viktor Orban did in Turkey. And nobody's really paying attention. This is a guy who recently declared that the vaccines for COVID are not appropriate for young children. Is he a doctor? By the way, his whatever it is, his Surgeon General is a witch doctor, okay? Just so you know. He fired a perfectly legitimate Surgeon General to hire basically a fucking witch doctor who bases his medical theories on religion and everything but actual medicine and science. So Ron DeSantis unilaterally declared that the vaccine was no good for young children and didn't order. The only state in the union whose doctors did not order vaccines. And then he turns around and says, let the parents decide. Well, the parents who want their kids to be vaccinated, if you don't order those vaccines in the state, it's impossible to get your children vaccinated. See how that works? So Ron DeSantis is full of shit, number one. And so is Bill Maher, okay? Because Ron DeSantis has done a number of other heinous things, like making it difficult for children who want to come out in school, declaring that transgender people aren't normal, and passing laws to that effect, keeping children from being able to get medical treatment. When the fact of the matter is, all that is going to do is make children who are already alienated and suicidal even more suicidal. You know, Ron DeSantis would not make a better president than Donald Trump on any level. Okay, Ron DeSantis then engaged in culture wars with Disney because they stood up for LGBT people. He did not go after Disney's tax status because he felt like it was a thing to do. You know what? For years, this has been in place in Florida. Nobody's ever questioned it, and he didn't question it until Disney stood up to him. Ron DeSantis is just like Donald Trump. He's vindictive, okay? And he's fucking stupid, too. So Bill Maher can spare me all of that crap. But that's just one of the things we're going to talk about this afternoon. Let's move along here. Let's move along to, and I'm gonna have to look at some stuff to talk to you about this because it's a lot of info. We're going to talk around Adam Kinzinger, who was a member of the J6 committee, who defied his party to take part in that committee. Adam Kinzinger and Liz Cheney were both basically disowned by the GOP. They were censured for taking part, even though the GOP doesn't censure anybody in their party who speaks ill against Jewish people, gay people, black people. They don't censure anyone who proposes violence, but they censure people who do their jobs, basically. So Adam Kinzinger had recently, and I'm sure this isn't the first time, received death threats against his entire family, including his 5-month-old son. Now, I don't know anybody heinous enough to threaten the life of a 5-month-old baby, but again, let's just talk about how the GOP cares so much about the children. Oh yeah, So let me take a few minutes to read this letter that he got. Actually, his wife got it. Here's what it says. Sophia, you are one stupid, and you know, the word has been blocked out. I believe I can see through the way it's been blocked out, and I believe the word is cunt. And I'm going to use that word because that's a word. That pimp you married not only broke his oath, he sold his soul. You and Christians too. Oh, yours and Christians too. This person has a very hard time writing. I don't want to be a profiler here, but this sounds like a dumbass right-wing fucking white person to me. Adam's activities have hurt not only this country, but countless patriotic and God-fearing families. I'm not sure how that happened, but whatever. Therefore, although it might take time, he will be executed. Let me read that again. Therefore, although it might take time, he will be executed. But don't worry. You and Christian will be joining Adam in hell too. We find it blasphemous that you name the son of the devil Christian, with a big exclamation point at the end. You know what? This is just like the shit that goes on, as we've seen today during the hearings, with election workers whose lives are being threatened for doing their job, for counting the votes and refusing to find votes for Donald Trump to overturn the election. There were 2 women on at the end of the hearing today. One woman, Miss Ruby, who lived all her life in Georgia, and her daughter. And they became targets of Donald Trump specifically. He called her daughter an election, I think an election scammer. Really went virulently after them, terrified these 2 people, and the FBI actually had to move Miss Ruby out of her home until the inauguration was held because they were afraid that she wasn't safe there. This is not okay, folks, but this is your Republican Party. This is your former president, and I mean former because he fucking lost and he must never be president again of this country or of any country. I wouldn't wish this fucking guy on Russia. Okay? This is not okay. And for the Republican Party to just sit back and never push back and never put down and whatever, they're all the same. It's pretty obvious that they're all the fucking same. They're all cut from the same cloth. They'd throw their grandmother under a fucking bus to retain power. This is the way the Republican Party is. It's outrageous that we are now able to talk with a level of violence that has never been seen before and have people defending it as free speech. It is not free speech. And the shit that spreads on social media that vilifies people is not free speech. It's evil. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not big on censorship, but none of that shit should ever be allowed. Sorry, folks. I don't buy it. You try it when you're threatened. I have been. I've been trolled. I've been threatened. I've been doxxed. And I've even been told that people came to my house and I didn't answer the door and they knew that I wasn't for the people. You know what? It is an O-fucking-K. Now, let's talk about the elections. Adam Kinzinger also said that the 2024 election is going to be a mess. Well, you know what? He's right about that. But the fact of the matter is the midterms are going to be a mess, and we've already got some of that, proving out right now. In New Mexico, I believe the gentleman's name is Couy Griffin. He's got a little Stetson hat on, his little freaking, whatever that little tie is. He's a real cowboy. He refused to certify the election because he didn't trust the Dominion voting machines because of all the bullshit that's been spread by Rudy Giuliani and Donald Trump. They have already irreparably infected the election process. In Nevada, we have had a Trump candidate lose to another Trump candidate. So, even though it is quite clear that this gentleman lost, and, even the GOP in that state is kind of disgusted with all of this. Let me get his name here. Okay, this is a guy named Joey Gilbert. I might have had this in another video, but I'm going to repeat it. So Joey Gilbert lost to a gentleman named his last name is Lombardo. Okay, so he lost, and it's not, at the last count it was 38.4% to 27.6%. So it's not like it's a couple hundred votes, and he is claiming election fraud. Okay, so this was for the governorship of the state. All right. Now, even the Nevada Republican Party has stated there is absolutely no evidence of any voter fraud going on. But it doesn't matter, you see, because this mess is already pervasive in the system. And then, if that isn't enough for you, we have a gentleman named Adam Laxalt, who was running for the U.S. Senate in Nevada. And he has won. He has won his primary. And he's also known by local media as the Nevada version of Rudy Giuliani, which doesn't speak well of old Adam Laxalt here. But he's now the Republican candidate. He will face off against a Democrat in 220 days. His election is 220 days away. And he is already vetting outside groups to challenge the supposed voter fraud that's going to happen. So he's already planting this in people's minds. He's already lining his ducks up This is just unbelievable that this is going on. You know, if anybody wants to even question just how much damage Donald Trump and his minions have done in this country, all you need to do is just fucking look around every goddamn day. The signs are everywhere. If you can't fucking see it, you're literally blind. Or you're ignoring it, or you don't want to look at it because it's too painful. But it's here, okay? It's here. And I'm going to tell you that this is the kind of I don't know what to call it. I guess I would call it a regime, because this is fascism at its best. This is what you're going to be living under if you allow these people to take back power. You know, if everybody on the left, or everybody who isn't thinking like these fucking clowns, goes out and vote, they will not win. It is when you sit at home on your ass, and I've heard Democrats say they're going to sit out the primaries because they're unhappy with Joe Biden. You're idiots. You really are, because you're not going to get rid of Joe Biden that way. What you're going to do is put in power people who will just stymie everything that you want done, and nothing's going to get done. In fact, just so you understand this, the Republican Party, the real Republican Party, not the state, but the country-wide Republican Party, has already met with a think tank in May to drum up things that they can do to stop Joe Biden from getting his job done, investigations they can hold that will tie him up for 2 years. I'm sure that, you know, you'd like to see some change made. If you want that fucking change made, you want the shit passed that hasn't been able to be passed, you need to give him a bigger majority, not punish him. Just a few more things here. Eric Greitens, he used to be a Democrat. He's where he belongs right now. He's a Republican. And in the midst of all of this, all of these shootings we have going on in this country, Eric Greitens released a video yesterday that is, you can view it on Twitter, but with a warning. It did violate every standard that they have, but they left it up because they thought it was worth the people seeing. In this video, Eric Greitens, who's a former Navy SEAL, by the way, he's also been accused of multiple counts of domestic violence. And he is advertising killing the rhinos. So he's not directing this at Democrats. He's a Republican now. He's directing it at his own party. And he's shown with a machine gun in Navy SEAL gear, going in with a machine gun. And he's giving out rhino hunting permits. So in the midst of all of this that's going on, we have this guy producing videos like this. This isn't new, by the way. We've had, you know, Lauren Boebert talk to her constituents with automatic weapons, you know, hung on the wall behind her. We've had Marjorie Taylor Greene taking pictures of herself with AK-47s. This is not an uncommon thing from the Republican Party. Anytime the Republican Party wants to tell you they care about the children, they don't. Because you know what? I know everybody wants this bipartisan gun law that's still not passed, that's still not even finished being written because it's being nitpicked so much. I know that they want it to pass, and I get that. They should pass it. But it doesn't do a fucking thing. It does not do a fucking thing. It does not involve banning automatic weapons. It does not involve banning large, big cartridges. It does not involve expanded background checks. None of that is in there. You know, they're going to give grants to states to make red flag laws. And by the way, there are conservatives within those states already training people how to get around the red flag laws. So if you think any of this is meaningful, you're crazy. If you think this is enough, you're nuts. And while I want the goddamn thing to pass, because it's the only thing that's been done in more than a decade that's looking like it's bipartisan, it isn't enough, and we shouldn't be satisfied with it. We need to get rid of the Republican Party to make substantive change. And we need to make sure they don't ever take back power again. Not in this form. Not in this form, because they're fascists. Okay? This is not your grandfather's Republican Party. This is the new right. That's what they're branding themselves, the new right. Okay? I have just two more things. I'm saving the best for last. This is the religion is poison part of the program. We have Franklin Graham. And the reason I put this in here is because Franklin Graham really believes that Donald Trump is God's messenger on earth. He's spoken about Donald Trump as if he's some kind of savior for the people. And Franklin Graham met this woman. I'm going to try not to butcher her name. Nagma Panahi, okay? She has a husband who is a Christian pastor. And he was imprisoned in Iran. And she met Franklin Graham, and he was an advocate for her. And she said he took her under his wing, and they got close between 2013 and 2015. And they texted and spoke by phone, several times a month. And Graham sent 71 emails from his private Gmail account. Boosted her story with a lot of online following. Sent private planes to Whisker to speaking engagements. Bankrolled a trip to Disneyland for her 2 children. And took her family out for a steak dinner. Okay? And so, in spite of all of that, she broke her friendship last fall with Franklin Graham. And the reason is that husband and had abused her physically and emotionally for most of their 13-year marriage. And when Graham first got wind of it, he called her. And that was in November of 2015. And he asked her this question. Nagme, are you cheating on him? As if, cheating on him is what triggered him to beat the shit out of her and to abuse her emotionally. And she said that she had never cheated on him. And he's defending it, saying it was a good question to ask and he would ask it again. And then Graham went on a campaign of pushing her to stop talking about the abuse and to go back to him. Even though a family court judge called her husband, quote, a habitual perpetrator of domestic violence. She then shared a story about how Graham had treated her. And then the Southern Baptist Convention released the results of a third-party investigation into a years-long cover-up of sexual abuse. The shocking report reignited outrage over the mishandling of abuse claims by evangelical leaders that included the 2018 backlash to Southern Baptist leader Paige Patterson's attempt to persuade an abused woman to go back to her husband. The very same thing that Graham did. And this is exactly how people in positions of power, and particularly religious power, treat women. Well, you know what? Their belief that the man is the head of the family and gets to do whatever he wants. Talk about moving back to the fucking Stone Age. But that's what they want here in America. And all of this change, by the way, all of this change, all of the change on all of this stuff is intertwined. Everything that's going on in America being pushed by the far right is intertwined. And at the basis of all of this is Christian nationalism. It's Christianity, it's fundamentalism, it's all of this stuff inexorably intertwined to turn this country into a theocracy. I'm going to tell you that right now so that you understand what's going on here. There are a number of things pushing this country in that direction, in the direction it's going, by the way, none the least of which is a very powerful religious entity with a lot of money that gives a lot of money to extremist candidates. And we will show that on our website. Okay, they do it in very sneaky ways. And finally, we're going to talk about the state of Texas and their new platform. Because, you know what? It's all well and good to say that, it's only happening in Texas. But you know what? These are the kinds of things that happen in one state and then another state follows suit that thinks like Texas. This could happen in Arizona, could happen in Nevada, could happen in Florida, could happen in any of these ultra-conservative states. So it's pretty bad when Dan Crenshaw looks good, but Dan Crenshaw was there, and he has rejected Donald Trump's claim of a stolen election, and he was literally accosted by right-wingers. He's also a Navy SEAL, and he lost his right eye to a bomb in Afghanistan, and of course, Tucker Carlson, being the champion that he is, now refers to him as Eye Patch McCain, because apparently John McCain just wasn't radical enough for the right wing. But that's only part of what went on during this convention. They are openly embracing bigotry, hatred, and anything else that you can find that's vile. For example, they banned the log cabin Republicans from setting up a booth at their convention. Now, I don't understand the log cabin Republicans because for me, being gay and being in the GOP is a fucking oxymoron. Okay? But be that as it may, they banned the log cabin Republicans, and that should have been a sign of things to come. Because they approved a measure. First of all, they started out by literally rejecting democracy. They approved a measure to declare that Joe Biden was, quote, not legitimately elected. In short, the Texas GOP is putting all of its eggs in Donald Trump's basket and declaring that Joe Biden was not legitimately elected, even though they have absolutely no proof on any level in any state that anything was done to prevent Donald Trump from becoming president. Donald Trump prevented himself from becoming president by being one of the worst presidents that ever walked the fucking planet. For mishandling the pandemic, for vilifying people of color, he lost the election all by himself. That's how it started out, but it didn't stop there. They booed John Cornyn for working on the bipartisan gun bill, which is actually shit. They also put into their platform that they want to repeal or nullify gun laws already in place. such as the Gun Control Act of 1968, which prevents felons and other dangerous people from being able to purchase a gun legally. They don't care about, first of all, part of the GOP's argument for not, expanding background checks is that, if you don't stop the criminals, then, they're going to get guns. Well, they're giving them guns in the state of Texas. Why not just move to Texas? I say all the criminals ought to just move to Texas, get a gun. Do it. They also are going to start brainwashing children in public schools about abortion. The platform states that, quote, Texas students should learn about the humanity of the preborn child, including that life begins at fertilization, even though it doesn't, okay? At fertilization, a child cannot live outside the womb. You got it? It even seeks to force students to watch a live ultrasound and for high schoolers to read an anti-abortion booklet that critics say includes scientifically unsupported claims and shames women seeking abortion care. We're not done yet. But I should say that that kind of curriculum belongs in a theocracy. That would be found in a theocratic form of government, say in, Iran. It's something that the Taliban teaches. But in this country, it would be funded by the taxpayer dollar. That is a violation of the separation between church and state. They also don't want anyone to infringe on Texas school students and staff's rights to pray and engage in religious speech. My child would not be going to school in Texas. My child would be homeschooled. It also will demonize transgenders. They are calling transgender people, they are saying that transgender people suffer from, quote, a genuine and extremely rare mental health condition. And it sees sexual reassignment surgery as medical malpractice. Now, transgender people are no longer considered mental health candidates. That, like being gay, is no longer part of the DSM. But it is in Texas because the Republican Party says it is. They don't care about science. They also refer to homosexuality as abnormal. And they say here in the article that what caused this move to the far right, some political scientist at the University of Houston said that Donald Trump radicalized the party and accelerated, the demands from the base. But you know what? I agree with the writer of the article who responds to that by saying, I agree in part. I don't think Trump radicalized the base. Rather, he simply gave people permission to be who they always wanted to be. The only thing he does agree with this guy who made the statement about radicalizing the party was the part where there are no limits now for what they want to go after. I might want to also state that the state of Texas is going to vote on seceding in 2023, and I certainly hope they fucking do. I certainly hope they do. I hope they secede from the Union. And I'm going to tell you right now, if they secede from the Union and take their little electricity grid with them that just doesn't stand up to much stress, the first time there's a fucking catastrophe in Texas, don't come to the fucking federal government looking for help. You fucking figure it out. Okay? That's it for today, folks. I'm full up with right-wing bullshit. And if you think this party belongs back in power, you know what? Shut the fuck up, because there's something wrong with you. I'll talk to you later.